Hey, it is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where today we're talking about follow-up strategies. Follow-up, it's super important, it's super essential to running a successful real estate business. And I'm not just talking about following up with past clients, although so many agents miss the ball and are missing out on a gold mine by not following up with past clients. But we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about following up on your current clients, following up with them to get deals closed, as well as following up with prospects to get the prospects into clients, the leads into clients, into closings, into clients, and we have this whole cycle that we're going to repeat over and over and over again, but it all involves you applying that personal touch with the follow-up. So I'm super excited to bring today's episode to you. I'm John Chrismo. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate, and you're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and the show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, this is your weekly mastermind. This is where we help take your business to the next level, to get it jump-started, to get it rocking and rolling, to get you making some money, because what's the point of getting a real estate license if you're not making any money? Sure, you're going to learn things, but what's the point of learning things if you don't make any money? Sure, it'll be a good experience, but what's the point of good experiences if you don't make any money? You know, as much as people like to say, oh, money doesn't matter, money isn't everything, it all starts with money, because when you don't have money, things get a lot more difficult. Your health will suffer, your well-being will suffer, your overall attitude will suffer if you're struggling to make ends meet. And whether you're doing real estate just part-time to try to supplement your income, or maybe you're full-time and this is your career, this is your business, this is what you rely on to generate income for you to be able to thrive. You're not just looking to survive, but thrive. You know, it all, if you can't follow up, I don't care which any one of these are, you're not going to tap into your full amount of success, your full potential of success, I should say. So if you want to be as successful as you could possibly ever be, you need to make sure that you're following up with everyone. So we're going to talk about kind of the whole life cycle first, the life cycle of your clients. And this life cycle, it all starts with somebody being a lead. And really, actually, even before they're a lead, they're a prospect, I would say. I would say we even break this out even further. And you might say, well, John, what's the difference between a prospect and a lead? Well, a lead is somebody that's raising their hand, or that says, I need help, or that's basically saying, hey, I need help, can you help me? Some sort of, they're closer to being a client than a prospect is. So we have a prospect, which will then turn into a lead, which will then turn into a client, who then becomes a past client, who then becomes a prospect again. So it's this whole circle of life of your real estate clients, of anyone it is that you work with. They all start out as prospects, and those are the maybe that they need you. They're the maybes. They're the people who might need to buy or sell, but maybe they don't. Maybe they don't right now. They haven't expressed any interest in buying or selling. It's just really somebody that you know. That I would refer to as a prospect, or maybe potential you want to call that. This is somebody that's interested, but not really actively seeking out to buy or sell, or whatever it is, whatever service it is you're providing to them. Whereas the lead, this is where they need. So when they are a lead, it's that they either want or need your service. If they want or need your service, that's when they become a lead. The prospects, again, this is just everyone. So you want everyone to know that you are the real estate professional that could help them, that could deliver them the best possible experience. Once they become a lead, this is where they're saying, and if you don't do your job here, if you don't do your job here of turning these prospects into leads, what's going to happen is they're going to end up with somebody else. So if you can't convert your prospects to leads, if you can't, and this involves maybe educating them about buying a house or educating them about selling a house, or maybe we're talking about even if they're looking to rent, maybe we're just educating them on how we could assist them in that rental process, and maybe what some of the potential properties that are out there. So whatever the case may be, we're trying to educate and make sure that they're aware. The goal here is awareness. We want to create awareness with our prospects. But now, as the prospects transition more from being aware of you to wanting and needing you, that's where we have to now warm them up into a lead. And this is where you see these, like lead capture websites you could get, or whatever the case may be. If you're, and so we'll use Zillow and Realtor.com and all these little websites where you basically just pay for leads. You're basically bypassing this prospecting process. Zillow is doing the prospecting, and they're just giving you the leads for whatever dollar amount it is that you've got negotiated with them per month. And why this isn't as good as doing your own prospecting is because when you prospect, when you make them aware, when you establish that awareness, when you break out of the obscurity and you make them know who it is that you are, that's where they're associating that want and need, not just for real estate, but now associating that want and need for the real estate with you, that you're the gatekeeper, you're the provider, you're the one that can not only get them in these houses that they want to see, but can help walk them through the process. And you're not the one that could just get the property in the MLS, but guide and shepherd them through the home selling process. So the prospects will become leads when they want and need your services. When they want and need your services, that's when they're now a lead. And now, what about clients? At what point are they your client? The only time I would really truly say that somebody is your client, your customer, your whatever you want to call them, the person you're working with, is if you have signed contracts. If you don't have a signed contract with this person you're working with, they are only a lead. Now, with sellers, until you have that house listed, they are just a lead. Until you have a listing agreement signed, they are just a lead. They are not yet your client. But you might say, well, John, I've taken some buyers out to show them homes. Aren't they my client? They haven't signed a contract to purchase the home yet. Remember what that purchase contract is. The purchase contract is a contract between the buyer and the seller. It's not a contract between the client and our brokerage. It's between the buyer and the seller. So that's not our contract. That's the buyer's contract or the seller's contract. It's not our contract. Our contract would be a buyer brokerage agreement. And if you're not using buyer brokerage agreements, you do not have any buyer clients until they sign the purchase and sale contract. And when you wrap your mind around that they're not even your client until the contract's signed, it really, if you're already working with buyers, it really kind of just shows you how much potential you have to lose them, for them to go buy a property with somebody else, to go buy a for sale by owner property, to basically cut you out of the process. Now, you get a signed contract. The only way they're going to sign that contract is once you've presented what it is that you can do for them in that contract. You present what it is that you're doing for them. Again, not just that you're the gatekeeper to the houses that they want, but you're the person to guide them through this whole process. So they don't become a client until you've got some sort of signed contract. Now, making them past clients, that's when you've closed the deal. So you close the deal, that's where they become a past client. And so many agents, what they're doing is they'll get a contract signed, they'll help them close on the home, and it's like these people have a disease after you sold them a house. That, oh, I don't want to talk to them. I might catch whatever they have. So they become a past client, and you don't want them to exit out of this cycle. Because as a past client, you want them to turn around and now become a prospect all over again. And now how do you move somebody into the prospect space? With awareness. You establish awareness, and that's when, again, you have that whole maybe. Because they're not going to buy the one home and then stay in that one home for their entire lifetime. They're going to buy a home, and then according to the National Association of Realtors, in 5 to 7 years, they're going to go through this whole process all over again. They're going to buy and sell their home again. They're going to sell their current home and buy another home. So now you're just looking at not just one transaction, but 2 transactions. So double commission that you're getting if you maintain this follow-up. And each one of these steps here, now if you're studying for your Florida real estate exam, this is the only part they refer to on the exam is follow-up. But sales-wise, each one of these steps, each one of these arrows to transition from one to the other, that's where we need follow-up. And we need different types of follow-up for each one of these steps here. It's important to understand what's going on when they're in each one of these different levels here, because if you don't understand where they're at in this process, your prospects, you're not trying to get your prospects to sign to sign contracts. Your prospects, you need to turn them into a lead. You need to facilitate this want and need for your service. If they don't have a want and need for your service, then they're just, again, they're going to exit the funnel. They're going to go somewhere else. At any point in here, they could exit and go somewhere else. Again, even with the contract, even though we've got a signed contract, the listing agreement or the buyer brokerage agreement, even with that signed contract, they might not follow what the terms of the contract are. They might not like you. They might try to breach the contract. You might not be doing enough for them. Maybe you said you're going to do all these things, but you're not actually doing them. Then that gives them another point to exit out of this deal here. So at any point in here, they could exit out of your cycle. And this is probably where most agents are missing the boat, or at least where they realize that they're missing the boat. But despite realizing it, they just, following up with past clients is a lot of work. It's a lot of stuff. If you don't realize what that potential is and what these dollar amounts are that you're potentially having walk away from your business, your system that we've got here, you could be leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. And that's the cost of not following up. Just a real quick fun fact before we take a quick commercial break here. It takes anywhere from 5 to 12 times, 5 to 12 follow-ups to close 80% of deals. 80% of deals aren't closed until the 5th to 12th follow-up. That means less than 20% of deals get closed with less than 5 follow-ups. One follow-up is just a few percentages, and it goes up, it rises, but you don't see a dramatic increase into how much deals you could actually close until you get to at least 5 follow-ups. And again, there's follow-ups throughout the life of your client. There's different ways to follow up, though, so you have to be aware of what point they are at in your cycle in order to follow up effectively. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Charismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
This is our story.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Christman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we're here live, masterminding to grow your real estate business. So we've got Instagram loaded up, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube. So wherever you're watching us, maybe you're watching us on our Success Center, make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share with your friends and family. Real quick, just want to give a shout out to somebody commenting on Instagram, Something Boutique, V Boutique. Do we have a branch in Newport Richey? Very close to Newport Richey. We've got one down in Palm Harbor. Give us a call. If you're looking to sign up for a class, phone number is 813-333-2676. And that's 813-333-2676. But let's get back down to business. What we're talking about today, following up. The whole idea of follow-up and how many hundreds of thousands of dollars you could be missing out on by not effectively following up with past clients, your prospects, your leads, your current clients. Your current clients, they need follow-up as well. Now, exam purposes, again, if you're studying for your exam, it's only following up with past clients. The FREC isn't too good at sales, so that's their definition of follow-up in case you see that on your exam. But for sales-wise, for running your business, you're constantly following up with everyone. You're constantly staying in contact with every one of these individuals. And so let's start out just talking a little about the prospect level. So if you're trying to follow up with prospects, people that are the maybes, and who's in your prospect list? Well, this might be your friends and family. If you have another job that's not your real estate job, that's not your real estate career, not the other people at your brokerage, but if you have some other job, your coworkers. So if you're doing real estate part-time, your coworkers, this whole sphere of influence thing, these are all your prospects. You know, maybe you go do some door knocking. Maybe you do some door knocking or you do some cold calling. These are prospects. You're just simply making them aware that you exist and your service exists and how your service is the best service that's out there. And really not even getting too much into selling your service, but really selling yourself as a person, because that's really what our service is. It's our personal touch, our personal help to apply throughout this sales process. So whatever way it is that we're coming across these people, maybe we're doing some advertisements, maybe we're doing some sort of direct mail. Direct mail is another good one. Whatever the case may be, these are just people that are aware of us, but they don't necessarily want or need our service. But we're educating them. So we have to understand who they are. So they're our friends, our family, our neighbors, the other parents at our kids, whatever that they do, whether it's sports or some sort of dance or whatever extracurricular activity it may be. So those people that we know, whatever it is that we do out and about in the world, just to make people aware that we are the real estate go-to. Those are our prospects. Now, how do we convert the prospects? Because again, we don't want this arrow. We don't want the prospects leaving our cycle. We want the prospects to become leads, to become clients, to become past clients, and turn back around and become prospects all over again. So how do we now turn the prospects from just being aware of us to wanting or needing us? And a big part of this is time. And that's why, and universally with sales, and this is why that follow-up number I gave you guys before the break, the 5 to 12 times is where you get 80% of your closed deals from. And a lot of that is just time. It just takes time to cycle through this process, to wait until they're ready. So that's a big part of this. Really, each one of these arrows, are you waiting? But here's the difference. Are you going to passively wait? Or are you going to actively wait? Because if you're just passively waiting is just sitting back and hoping that your phone rings. Say, well, I told them that I have a real estate license, so I did my job. Now I'm just going to sit back and wait for the business to roll in. That's passively waiting, and passively waiting doesn't really work. It's the worst way to, it's really not follow-up at all. Whereas actively waiting, this is where we are creating this whole follow-up. When we're actively waiting, we're following up with them. And what do we do to follow up with this here? What do we do to facilitate this want or need and maybe probe the want or need? So this might involve you making a phone call every couple of months, maybe every 3 months, every month maybe even, depending on how close it is that they are. Because at any point in time, they're always in this transition period. They're never really just stuck and fixed at each one of these different levels. They are a prospect, and that prospect is either moving out of your funnel or moving closer to being a lead. They're not just sitting still. Nothing sits still in this universe. Everything is constantly pushing out further. And unless you're actively there trying to control which direction things are going, they're going to go away from you. So you need to be constantly trying to hold this cycle together, and you do that again with follow-up. Follow-up is the glue that keeps this cycle intact. So they might be here, or they might be here. They might be nowhere near wanting or needing your service, or they might be almost ready to use your need or service. Your product, maybe, whatever it is that you're selling, essentially. Which in real estate, we're selling a service. We're selling our service to facilitate the sale, and depending at where they're at in this process. So if they're just a prospect, this is where they're maybe interested more so in homes that are for sale. Maybe they're interested in, we've done a lot of episodes before on farming and advertising and all kinds of things like that, and we talk about how you should advertise other homes that are on the market, that have sold, that have recently listed, open houses, things like that. That's always going to be interesting to anybody, really almost in this whole process here. So that's universally a good one, because people know they're going to get advertisements about things, and this is just an advertisement you're getting about a particular property. But as they get closer to this lead portion here, that's where you can now transition from them being a prospect to now turning them into a lead. And to turn them into a lead, they need to not just be aware of the houses that are out there, they need to be aware of your product or service. And I talked about Zillow and Realtor.com and all these other things. You think that you're buying leads from them. You're not buying leads. You're buying prospects. You're buying prospects. They're going to tell you that they're selling you leads, but they're not selling you leads, because these are not always people that want or need your services. You're buying prospects. And even if they do want or need your service, they don't know what your service is because you haven't presented that to them yet. So they're still just a prospect. So you have to be aware of where they're at in this process so you deliver the right information. Again, as they get closer to a lead, now we start going more directly into how it is that we can help them, what service it is that we provide, how we facilitate the home selling process. And it doesn't have to be, because look, if I talk about the home sale process to a potential buyer or a potential seller, they're going to fall asleep on me. But if we just, entice them with just little things, maybe we start out just by, here's some homes, and we get them interested, because if you have somebody that owns a home now, if they own a home now, when they sell their home, what are they going to do? They're going to buy another home. So even sellers are also buyers, and you need to be working both sides of that. Otherwise, you're losing half of the business there. So you're working both sides of that and showing them the other homes that are out there that are available, the prices, getting them the information on those homes. That's going to make them more motivated to sell their current home. So we use that to kind of show them that those houses are out there, and then we start to transition that into how our knowledge is superior, not only to just their own knowledge. That should be very extremely obvious early on. And if you're not making that obvious, and if it's not obvious that your knowledge is superior to yours, then you need to make sure that you're delivering information throughout this whole process here. But it should also seem that you're not only superior to their knowledge, but you're superior to everyone's knowledge. And not in a condescending way, whatsoever, but in a way where they could read something or watch a video that you send them or whatever it may be, and they say, wow, I didn't know that. That's neat. That's a good thing to know. I'm glad I read this article or watched this video or read this email, or however it is that you're staying in contact with them. That's the way it is that you start to show your value. Not about saying, oh, well, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that, but just delivering information. This is all about delivering information. The more it is that you could deliver information to your clients that's relevant to them, and how to sell their home isn't relevant to them. That's why they want to hire you. So they don't need to know how to sell their home. But what they do need to know are maybe, if they're thinking about selling, maybe top 10 improvements that give you the highest ROI on the sale of your home. Or maybe best paint colors to get the fastest sale of your home, or just little things like that, things that they're interested in because they'll think, oh, I could paint my house and that'll help me get a faster sale. Wow, thanks, John, for that information. That's great. And the more it is that you have those moments like that, the quicker it is that you're going to get them into this lead category here. Now, once they're a lead, this is where maybe you have an appointment with them, but you have not yet got a contract signed. And transitioning through this process here, this should be a very short transition if you've already done your job here. The better it is that you do the previous step, the easier it will be to do the next step. The more it is that you make them aware and you facilitate that want and need and create that desire and inform them of things they could do, the easier it's going to go to turn them from a lead into a client. Because let's say, so talking about sellers, we'll talk about sellers first, then we'll talk about buyers. So let's say we're working with a seller. They were a prospect. Maybe we'll just say that they're a friend of ours. They're a friend of ours. So we'll pick that. They're a friend. They're a prospect. So we start sending them some properties that are available for sale. They're looking at it. They're liking it. And then we start working in some information about selling their home, the top 10 things to get the highest ROI, the best paint colors, the ways to enhance your curb appeal, just little things like that. You don't have to overthink it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. We're just delivering information that's relevant to them, that they would be interested in, that makes us look like the knowledgeable professional. That's our goal here. And the more it is that we look like the knowledgeable professional, the more our friend is going to trust us. Your friend might already trust you as a friend, but do they trust you as their real estate professional? And that's the difference that you have to be aware of when you're trying to move people through this process. So many professionals make the assumption, and I use that word professional assumption because this is anything but professional. So many professionals make the assumption that because they're a friend, because they're a family member, because they're a coworker, because they already know you, they automatically trust you. They don't. They might trust you as their friend. They might trust you as their family member. They might trust you as their coworker, but they don't yet trust you as their real estate professional. You have to earn that trust as their real estate professional to be able to cycle through this whole process here. Now, again, going from lead to client, the better it is that we have built that trust and built the understanding, the easier it's going to be to get through that. But let's say that they're not ready right now. They do want or need our service, but they're not yet ready to get to the contract. And this might be something you're talking to the seller, and they say, well, can you tell me what the value is on my home? Boom. Okay, now we'll count them as a lead. If we already prospected to them, if we already made them aware, and they say, well, can you tell me what the value of my home is? Okay, now at this point, they're a lead. But just because we give them the value of their home doesn't necessarily mean that they're our client yet. Even though we help them understand the value, they don't necessarily have a contract signed with us yet. And until they have that contract signed, that listing agreement signed, if we're talking with a seller, they're not yet our client. So now how do we follow up with them? Well, if you're just following up, hey, you ready to sell yet? You ready to sell yet? You're ready to sell yet? That's where they're going to go. They're going to leave your cycle because they're going to get sick of being annoyed by you. They're going to get sick of being pestered by you, and it's not going to end well. Again, we have to go at this from the information that we're providing them. Because again, if you do this step well, this step's going to be easy. You do this step well, that one's going to be easy, and so on and so forth. As you progress through this further, the better you do the preceding steps, the more that you do before you get to that next step, the easier it's going to be to transition to that next step. But they might just simply not be ready yet. Or maybe they are ready, but they're just not confident. Maybe they're not confident in your abilities. Maybe they're not confident in whether or not their home's going to sell. Maybe they're not confident with that valuation you give them. So what do we've got to do? We've got to probe and find out maybe what these uncertainties are and figure out solutions to these uncertainties. Because that's what we need to do. We need to solve problems. If we could solve problems, that facilitates the sales. So ultimately, trying to find out why it is that they're not ready yet. Not, are you ready? Don't ask the question of, are you ready? Ask the question, but in different phrasing, of why are you not ready? What concerns you the most about selling your home? What are you most afraid of selling your home? These types of questions will help uncover the things that they're uncertain about. Maybe they're uncertain about you. And that means that you did not do this job well. You did not assure them that you're the knowledgeable professional. Ideally, before they become a lead, you want without a shadow of a doubt that they know you're the best real estate professional around. And then if that's the case, it's going to be super easy to transition to this unless maybe there is some other thing. What are you most afraid of? What are you most concerned with selling your home? What is it that you're worried about? Maybe it's not about finding that next home yet. Great, well, let's get a buyer brokerage agreement signed, and we'll go out there and start looking for homes. Because again, once we have the contract, that's where they're now our client. So let's flip this around now and talk about buyers, because this is where I think a lot of agents have so much more opportunity, is being able to transition buyers from a lead to a client. A client with a signed contract is worth a lot more than just a lead. Time-wise, financially, so on and so forth. It's worth immensely more to have a signed contract with somebody than somebody just being a lead. But despite that, there is a lot of agents that'll work with buyers and they'll just go show them homes. They won't get any buyer brokerage agreement signed. They'll just start showing them homes. They'll get a call from Zillow that, hey, I want to see this home on 123 Main Street. Oh, great, let's go see 123 Main Street. If you didn't really do this whole process here, if you're just buying leads from Zillow, that means you've got to do this process here to turn that lead into a client. Because remember, you're not buying leads from them, you're buying prospects. And in order to make a prospect a lead that doesn't just need that home or want that home, but they need you and need your services as well. So this is where you've got to intervene and say, yeah, absolutely, I can help you out with that. You start asking some questions about their home search process, about the home that they're looking for. Hey, just to make sure this home's right for you before we go out there and take a look at it, I just want to ask you a couple questions. You start deep diving into the fact finding and finding out, well, is this the right home for them? Am I the right agent for them? Are they a serious buyer? We do that probing and we do our qualifications and we find out, okay, yes, let's make them a client. Let's get a buyer brokerage agreement signed and then taking them to see the home. And we've done episodes of State of Real Estate before as well on buyer brokerage agreements. They're absolutely something you should be using. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have purchase and sale contracts signed, because remember, the purchase and sale contract is between the buyer and the seller. Our listing agreement is between the brokerage and the seller. Our buyer brokerage agreement is between the buyer and the brokerage. So we need to have a contract with our client that employs us, essentially, because otherwise they're just a lead. We're not employed by leads, we're employed by clients, and we need contracts in order to be employed. Now again, the better it is that you do these steps, the easier it is to get to that next one. Because getting this contract signed, there's going to be presentation of what it is that you're going to do, your expectations, their expectations, how this whole transaction is going to go through. You do this all in these consultations where you're getting these contracts signed. Now, how do we follow up during this process here, going from client to past client? Most agents are relatively good at doing this because there's things you've got to do. But what I would do is make a system about this. Maybe every week, maybe more often than that, depending on what type of deal it is, but at the very least once a week, checking in with your seller. So once that property is listed, you don't want to list the property and then never talk to him again until it's time to close the deal, because chances are, if maybe they need a price reduction, they're not going to listen to you if you just left them. And even though they have a contract with you, they're going to be exiting your cycle. Because they're not going to listen to you, they're not going to want to cooperate with you, they might even fire you because you didn't show up, you didn't follow up, you didn't stay in touch with them. With buyers, same thing. You get a buyer brokerage agreement signed at the minimum every week. You should be following up with them. Hey, I know we looked at a couple of houses this week. I saw a couple more that I put in your email inbox. What do you guys think about those ones? Oh, you don't like those ones. What is it that you don't like about it so I can refine the search further? What is it that you do like about them? And we're, again, just staying in contact with this whole follow-up process, moving them closer to them being a past client. And we get that by having a closed deal with them. Now, again, we don't want to let them exit even after we sold. Yes, it's a 5 to 7 year waiting period to turn them back around into a prospect and a lead again. It's every 5 to 7 years again, according to the Association of Realtors, of how often they sell their home. So how do we stay in touch with them now? Well, maybe we've got some little newsletter that we do. Maybe, and this is where you could get unique about it, because again, now they're moving towards awareness about your service. And really here, it's not so much of gaining awareness, but maintaining awareness. Going from a past client to being a prospect again, it's all about maintaining the level of awareness that you already established by working them through as a client. And now the better it is that you've done the rest of this process, the easier this is going to be. Because throughout this whole process, you really should be establishing a relationship with your client. And it's much easier to maintain a relationship than it is to start a relationship. So again, whatever ways it is that you're following up, whether that's through a newsletter, birthdays, absolutely every birthday you should be making a phone call. I would even put a card in the mail, maybe for an anniversary, for Christmas, for St. Patrick's Day, for Valentine's Day, for New Year's, for 4th of July, for Labor Day, for Memorial Day, for all of these holidays that exist out there. Use those as an opportunity to follow up. And what you're doing here is maintaining the relationship, and I would say at the very minimum for this year is quarterly, every 3 months, you put in a call to them. And you just say, hey, it's John, just wanted to give you guys a call, touch base, see if you're still liking the house, how things are going, how are the kids, how's the family, how's the dog, how's the cat, how's the pet snake, how's the ant farm doing, whatever it is that was unique about them. Keep that data in your CRM system so that way it could jog your memory. Oh, that's right, this is the ant guy. This is the guy with all the ant farms. Oh yeah, how's your ant collection doing? And sometimes you just need those little notes to jog your memory and say, oh, that's right, this is the ant guy. How could I forget the ant guy? Whereas if you're just, talking on the phone with someone, you don't keep notes of this stuff, you'll forget that this is the guy with the crazy ant farm or something like that. So keep notes on them, because that'll make your job easier to prospect. And the better it is that you establish the relationship going through this process, the easier it will be to follow up and stay in contact with them after the sale and then repeat the process all over again. Once they start getting closer to that 5 to 7 years, now remember, that's just an average number. That means there's ones less than that and there's some more than that. So as you're moving them closer back around to them being a lead again, you keep probing. You keep probing how things doing, how's work, how's this, how's that, and you're staying in touch with them. And even 3 months, that might be not soon enough. But at the very least, and this is why I say at a minimum of 3 months, because if you're staying in touch with them every 3 months, especially after you've done this you do that just for 1 year, this is 4 phone calls that you're having with them. Number 5 comes if you're following up with them for 15 months. So 3 months, phone call. 6 months, phone call. 9 months, phone call. 12 months, phone call. 15 months, phone call number 5. Now again, it takes 5 to 12 times to close 80% of that business. But you don't even hit the 5, you're missing out on at least 80% of the business that's out there. And now after 15 months, they're probably not ready to sell yet, by the statistics at least, but maybe they are. And having those 5 times of reinforcing who you are, the service that you provided, and how you have a great relationship with them, and why would they ever think of using somebody else because of how great of a job you did for them, this is how you establish repeat business. And what's great about this is a great retirement strategy as well, because you could scale your business, and maybe you want to still practice real estate, but you're only doing it based off of referrals. You're only doing it based off of your past clients and their referrals, people it is that you've already worked with, and you don't have to spend a penny advertising. You're not really having to prospect to new people, but you're still prospecting to your past clients to stay in touch with them, to follow up. And then maybe you want to practice real estate still, so there you are. Now you've got a system that generates you business that you don't ever have to worry about getting new business again. Or maybe you sell this. Maybe you sell your real estate database to somebody else. You bring somebody in, you sell them the business for maybe a few $100,000, maybe more depending on how it's worth. Maybe it's a few $1 million if you really have got this system nailed down and built out. But it's really what you make of it. But again, you're going to have people leaving at every step possible if you're not constantly trying to keep this all back together here. You could look at this like a black hole. Now, if the black hole didn't have that vacuum in the middle pulling everything together, everything would just be going out there. So you've got to be the black hole. You've got to be the one pulling this all together. You've got to be the gravity keeping this process in place. Look, that's about all the time we've got for today, so thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you've got some value out of today's show, but look, no matter how much value you've got out of today's show, it means nothing unless you go out there and utilize this information. Even if you don't have your real estate license yet, you can start establishing your base of prospects, and that just means, talking to your friends and family more, talking to your coworkers more, maybe bringing up real estate as a topic, and maybe finding out what they know about real estate, maybe how many houses they've bought and sold, how long they've lived in their current house, and what you're doing here is qualifying them for how close they are to being a lead. But start just having those conversations. And then getting your real estate license, you're now able to have this process. Maybe you want to get the real estate license and just earn referral fees. You could do that as well. Let somebody else do the work. Just get the real estate license so you can legally earn referral fees for referring your business to others. Maybe you've already got an established business, but you say, hey, look, and I completely understand. I've been victim. I have not always followed up to the best of my abilities. I've caught the phobia of, our diseased past clients of, I don't want to talk to them, or, I don't have time to talk to them. There's always some reason why. Maybe you have intentions to communicate with them, but until you make a intention and a commitment to following up with them, you're not going to follow up with them. This requires the action. So get out there, take some action on this. Go make some money. Bring people back into your cycle here. Because look, even if they start to go out, because look, this is the ideal process. We have them going right here. If they start skewing out, we can still pull them back in. We just have to correct for that. We just have to keep following up, keep pulling them back in to our circle. Look, that's all the time we've got. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've got questions about starting a real estate career, post-licensing, anything like that, call us at 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. You can check us out online as well at tampaschool.com. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.